Walken is like up to his nose in the water, just eyeballs.
Oh
He
my
comes out and he goes, "Young man, I am not an actor. I'm an alligator." And so,
This is Blockbuster Mentality, the show where actors, filmmakers, critics, and content creators come on to talk a film of their choice. In this episode, actor and friend of the show Dan Franko joins us to talk the Hulu film Palm Springs, starring Andy Samberg. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I've got, by the way, I don't know if you guys, can you guys see this?
No, because your background screws it up. That's homemade?
It's a home brew, Hefeweizen. This is beer number 2 on, well,
Ken Arnold, the guy that's in Night Watchman, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He and I and another friend brew up here in Maryland. And
oh, nice.
We don't do the bottles. We get a whole bunch of the corny kegs, the soda kegs, and we just do that and carbonate it that way.
Nice. I haven't graduated to that yet.
It's a pain in the ass because you have to run all that. You have to run the detergent through and then sandy it. Beer is a lot of cleaning.
It is. It's all cleaning. It's all sanitation.
Yes.
It's like constant.
What do you have a kit, Dave?
Well, I've got all the well, what do I have? I mean, mine's pretty bare bone. I mean, I've got a propane burner, to boil my mash and all that, and then it just goes into a bucket and it ferments. I mean, that's the extent of it, and I throw it in bottles. I got a really simple system that works for me. What do you? So Dan, what do you guys do? You do like a giant? I just do 5-gallon batches.
Yeah, we do 5 gallons because that's the same. The soda kegs are 5-gallon kegs, so that works really well. We do the 5-gallon batches. We usually do like he always does some. He has a Christmas party, maybe not this year, but he always has a Christmas party every year, and we always do like an English brown and a lager and some kind of a fall winter brew for that.
This is the first Hefeweizen I did, and it came out good, but because I don't have I ferment mine. You need every certain kind of beer needs a different kind of ferment temperature, and all I've got is I have a cooler bag where my fermenting bucket goes, and I just throw in water bottles and stuff like that, and I just check the temperature every day. So it's really
we've done a Kolsch, and I think it was supposed to ferment a lot colder than we did, but it turned out really drinkable. We didn't fuck it up, so
that's the thing, and the beer community is like crazy, and you can get really technical about it. But there's always, like, if you go on the forums or whatever, there's always someone who's like, keep in mind, guys, 400 years ago, they just like threw everything together, boiled it, and put it in a barrel, and it still worked. And that's I think the same principle holds.
Yeah, I saw this one thing about the in some town in God, I want to say Norway or the Vikings somewhere in Scandinavia. The town had a yeast stick, like it was the communal yeast stick for the town, and they just hung it in a door, and it would grow yeast, and you'd take it and you'd mix it in, and then you'd put it back, and it just was like this kind of like the soda bread that gets passed around. Bread. Just this, or sourdough, it's the starter yeast that everybody uses for beer for hundreds of years in this place.
That's cool, because it's a living. I mean, beer is a living thing, or any. I mean, same thing with wine or whatever. It's a living. It requires yeast and sugar.
I just drink it. I literally have no idea how anyone initially found out how the stuff was done. Like, it had to have been done by accident, right? I mean, that's
well, according to Nick Cage in The Rock, that's how champagne was formed. Voila.
Oh yeah, well, exactly. So I'm assuming pretty much everything was found by accident. I think even penicillin was found by accident.
Yeah, moldy bread, right?
Yeah, it's all you need.
So Dan, did you recently rewatch? I think you mentioned that, right? You recently rewatched The Rock.
I did. So we're taking advantage of all these nights where we can't go anywhere, and we can go places, but not like before. So we're doing a lot of catching up on movies. So we did Armageddon, and we did The Rock. We've binged Scrubs. We've binged How I Met Your Mother.
Nice.
We're into Community right now, but only partially through.
Yeah, I'm actually through. We're going through Community for the first time right now, and yeah, it's. I don't know how I missed it before, but yeah. You were. You said you were watching Eurovision before you came on. What's?
I was.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
My wife was like, "I want to watch something funny. I want something fun," and we wanted to watch something neither of us had seen yet. So, and obviously, there's nothing in the pipeline that's coming out.
No.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So we went and we hit that, and it was fun. It was a it was a Will Ferrell movie. It was silly. It was goofy. It had some heart to it. I felt like it sort of mirrored the Pitch Perfect template, because there's a singing competition and the things people learn as they go through this process.
Have you seen all of those?
What's that?
Have you seen? How many of them are there? 2 or 3 Pitch Perfects?
There's 3 Pitch Perfects. Yeah, I have.
Have you seen them all?
I have. I've got an Anna Kendrick thing, so.
So why not? Was she in the third one? Yeah, she was, right? Yeah.
Speaking of her, did you see the movie Drinking Buddies with from New Girl?
New Girl.
Yeah,
New Girl.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
That one was pretty good.
I started it and I kind of punched out about 30 minutes in.
Not even for Anna Kendrick.
It felt like. Well, my understanding is that it was a very improv thing, and it kind of felt like it. And I wasn't feeling it at the time, and I never went back to it. I've heard people enjoy it.
That's decent.
I just wasn't in that mental space at the time I jumped in.
Ben, did you see Eurovision?
I have not seen it. I know you have, though. So what's do you have difference of opinion than Dan has?
I got into an argument with my wife because I became that obnoxious guy watching it, saying how stupid it was and how not funny it was, and she's like, "Shut up! My God, you're driving me nuts." So I love Will Ferrell, but I just did not get this movie.
So here's the funny thing: he felt like he was in a different movie. Like he felt like he was in a Saturday Night Live adaptation movie, and the rest of them felt like they were in this movie about Icelandic music. And I felt like they were all a lot more grounded in the reality of the movie than he was. He sort of felt like this, like Roger Rabbit kind of dropped into a live action movie.
That's a great call. It's right. It just never, not all of it really clicked. And I think the accents too didn't serve themselves well. And not that he's just going to do his own Will Ferrell, but maybe he just be Will Ferrell. You don't have to do a Icelandic accent or something. I don't know. It was one of my least favorite Will Ferrell movies.
What's the actress's name again? Oh my God, I can't.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah,
Rachel McAdams.
She's a great actress.
She in it? She obviously didn't save the movie for you, Dave.
No, not even close.
What was her accent? Okay.
I don't know. What do you think of her accent, Dan? I haven't seen this one in a couple of weeks. I would say they're all kind of cheesy, but not. I mean, they're not supposed to be like spot on. I don't think. But.
My entire frame of reference for Icelandic accents is, I guess, Bjork. So I don't really know what one's supposed to sound like. So it worked.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. How dare you?
Speaking of accents, I saw the American Pickle just came out with Seth Rogen. He plays two parts in this movie. He plays his great grandfather, and he plays the great grandson of the great grandfather. His great grandfather gets pickled in brine for 100 years. They explain it in a sciencey way, as the narrator says, but they never tell us what that what it is. But anyway, it was alright. That's my review. It was aight. No, I mean it was. Yeah, I mean it was a Seth Rogen movie. You know, it was cute.
Did he have a buddy?
No, there was no buddy or anything. Again, it was just him and his great grandpa, who is from like Eastern Europe somewhere, and you know he gets put into modern day and starts his own pickle business, and you know hijinks arise.
And like Brooklyn, right? It's like the most hipster movie ever.
Yes, exactly. And it makes so much sense. Is there a Mumford & Sons
soundtrack?
There's not, surprisingly. Yeah, it's there should be. Yeah, it's you know, it's funny you say that because all the hipsters are into his, you know, organic pickling and all that.
Of course they are.
Yeah, of course they are. But yeah, I mean it's, you know, Seth Rogen movie. Takes place in New York. He plays 2 roles. It's fun. There's really not much to say about it.
What would you give it? Well, all right, let's do a rating here.
I don't even.
I mean, you can just do stars if you want, and not popcorn.
I mean, it's probably like a 1.5 to 2 stars, maybe 3 buckets of popcorn.
Okay,
I'd say.
If I'd say go back to Eurovision, I'd say 1 star, 1 bucket.
Really, not even entertaining for you.
I did not like this movie at all. I like Will Ferrell, but I was not. I felt as bad at I didn't get through Holmes and Watson, so at least I got through this one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'd go Chuck Woolery with a 2 and 2.
There you go.
Oh wow, aging everyone.
Deep pools here.
Dave doesn't know how to come back from that.
What else? What else? Have you guys been anything else you guys have seen? I saw a couple of classics and not a classic, but what do you got? What you got more?
No, you're looking for a save here. I can tell. There's going to be a lot of editing in this episode, I can tell. But no, I was just going to go back to what Dan said about things coming out. Things aren't going to come out for a while. Studios, you could tell them differently. You hear announcements, movie news all the time, and it's just like so hard to get excited just because I know it's like, well, it's not going to come out when you say it's going to come out.
We're going to shoot 2 John Wicks. You're never going to see them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like it's like, why are you doing this to me? And it's the same with sports. Like I keep hearing like trades and like signings. I'm like, cool. Not going to see it, not going to see it come to fruition. This is one of the first times I'm excited about the Tampa Buccaneers. And, there's not even going to be a season this year. So, it's like, whoa.
Well, it seems like they're moving forward.
They haven't quite yet canceled the season yet. So
no, but look at how baseball's going. Look at everyone coming down with it, everyone canceling games, everything like that. If you're not doing it in a bubble, I'm sorry, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I do think like hockey and basketball have really seemed to figure it out. Hockey's going great. I mean, this has been it's like March Madness every day. It's noon till 2 a.m. hockey.
I know, it's awesome. I love it.
And the Penguins lost, which is even better.
Oh, yes. Montreal won tonight, right?
Yep.
Time of this recording. And by the way, Bolts beat the Capitals. I don't know if you saw that game, Dan, but...
Yeah, I gave that 1 star and 0 popcorns.
Makes sense. That's fair. I understand. But no, you're right, though. It's awesome. Great, like you said, March Madness-esque. Same with basketball. They got their thing going every night, and I can't wait to see. Of course, but obviously, you're a Caps fan. I'm just saying though, like if Bolts do make it all the way, like of course this would be the year they would win. Where no one can really celebrate much, and we don't really get that excited about it. Yeah. But it is what it is.
No, I think football. I think football is going to figure. I think they've got the benefit of learning from baseball's mistakes. They're going to be moving from city to city, so I think they'll figure out a way to create as much of a bubble as they can as they move these guys around. They're obviously the biggest in motion group of athletes because there's 53 plus staff. So
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's you have to do some sort of protection. I know they're I think one of the college teams announced that they're going to at least do 20 to 25% capacity.
Yeah, I think that was Florida State.
Florida State, yeah. So
that's bagged on the season completely.
Yeah.
They're done.
But nobody cares about UConn.
Yeah, right.
Can I ask a stupid question, maybe?
Please do. They're always welcome here.
Thank you. Professional athletes make a lot of money, and they're healthy. And they're among the most health. It's probably if you're a profile the healthiest people in the country. I would assume that maybe not baseball players, but football, hockey, basketball. These are got to be the healthiest people there are, right? I mean, I hate to say, what are you worried about, kind of a thing, but in a sense. For a 25-year-old guy who's at peak physical condition, I mean, do we need to shut the entire thing down because a few of them might get something that probably won't be that serious. I hate to be that guy to ask that question, but I feel like I need to a little bit, particularly when we're asking that from other people in our society to step up. And I don't know. I'm over there at the gas station counter tonight. Buying a soda and a lotto ticket, and I'm like, well, she's got to work. I don't know, and we're all working, kind of a thing.
I think like you saw the players that opted out. I think of the 66 or so opted out of the season. 40 of them were linemen, defensive or offensive, and I think those are the ones that are probably more likely to have heart or diabetic under, because they're so big.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And not all of them are big muscle. Some of them are big, Gilbert Brown big, and you get it, you're probably going to die. I think what I've read, a lot of them, the concern is it's not so much me. I'm going to be fine, but what happens when I bring it home? Yeah. My mother-in-law is living with us, during all of this, and I give it to her and she dies.
That's a good
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to bring it up. Dave, why do you wear a mask?
Well, because I figure it's a low cost, high reward practice for me to do.
Well, yeah,
that literally is why. I mean, I assume, and of course, if I'm playing, I can't wear a mask. So I did see some designs for helmets or something that could do something.
Yeah, they look awesome too.
Yeah, they really do.
But would you say you're more concerned for yourself or for others?
Well, myself first, and then others. I mean,
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what I just asked that because I think that's also the case is you don't want to spread it to others. So if someone like, I don't know.
So you stay away for a little while, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, Mom. I'm doing this thing. I'm working to pay for you, Mom. So I'm taking care of you. I need to work. So, and it might be a little bit of time where we need to stay away from a bit. We'll be in touch. I love you.
What about the 60-year-old trainer though? Or
that's a thing. It is a thing. But maybe a 60-year-old trainer just wears a mask. I mean, isn't that what we're all doing here? I mean, when does it end? I guess I mean, this is a society question that we're not going to solve now. But at some point, we gotta start having a life. Otherwise, there won't be a life, and people won't be able to pay their rent, and people will be on the streets if we keep going that way. So, I didn't mean to turn this into a whole thing, but
hey.
These are the questions people are asking, right? We're trying to look for some direction here.
And at some point, just like sports, the movies, Disney Plus is they pushed Hamilton up in July and released it on Disney Plus instead of sending it to theaters, which they really wanted to give it a theatrical run.
Right.
Mulan is coming, so there's some seismic shifts in the movie industry, both the way we make them and the way we're now going to distribute them.
Did you hear the Avatar sequels that are never going to get made are now delayed?
Yeah, they were already screwed.
Yeah,
I could not. I just busted out laughing seeing that news. Ben, do you remember? Where were we? Maybe 2 months. Maybe it was the Fetterman episode where we were talking about Tenet opening July 17th. Do you remember that conversation, Ben? We were like,
I don't.
Are we going to go into the AMC? This was like a month ago or something. And now Tenet is, because we were sitting here, I don't know, whenever it was late June or something. And we're like, that was when AMC said they were going to open. And Tenet was going to be the tent pole for everybody. And we were talking about, would you be comfortable going in and all that? And it's just not happening.
I know. It's yes. To answer your question, I do remember that, Dave. Yes.
I think we were kind of going to be cautiously optimistic about it, right? And to go in and do it.
Yeah. If we wore a mask, maybe sit like checkerboard style.
At the very back.
No one behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. No one behind
you.
The
king position, we called it.
And I do remember, and here we are, August 7th, recording this, and it just seems like it's such a long way away to be able to start doing that. And
although, I just saw in my feed the other day on Facebook, Regal was like, "We're coming back," and AMC is the same. I don't know where. It's not happening in Maryland.
You're gonna have to go to
that lifted yet.
Yeah.
Not the greatest news today for movie fans. What is it called? The Paramount Consent Decree, which was passed back in the 40s. which today was ruled by a judge that would be lifted. So it essentially means that studios could now buy their own theaters, could own their own theaters. So which would essentially mean that they're going to only show their own films.
Right.
Back to the old studio system, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was I believe that was today that they terminated 1930s Paramount consent decrees. So yeah, I mean it's that could be a huge hit on indie films, but obviously the title of this episode is Palm Springs. That was released on Hulu. I like that segue. It was released on Hulu.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Do you think if films are still released like a film like Palm Springs, even Mulan is going to be released video on demand this year, do you think it's really going to hurt independent film?
As someone who relies on independent film, it's when you get one that does get a release in 50, 100 cities or 100 locations, obviously it has a lot more attention. It has a lot more buzz around it.
Right.
When you release online and you don't have a marketing campaign behind you, it's really hard to get people to see your movie. I'm even thinking about, the movie we're going to talk about. It just hit the perfect bullseye of coming out at the right time, because you think about it earlier in the year, or maybe I lost track. I don't know if it was last year or this year. They're all, we're in a time loop. Six Underground, it came out, it had a lot of buzz, but not everybody I know saw it. It didn't get, people kind of saw it in bits and spurts. What was the other one? The Kate Beckinsale movie where her husband is supposed to be dead and he pops up. Like that came out. It was a Palm Springs probably should have had the same sort of quiet sort of people find it and don't find it. But because we're all sitting here and there's no movies, none of us are going to the movies, it sort of hit and everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to go watch that. And so it sort of had almost like a studio theatrical release through streaming.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's almost, the movies that even if it is independent, sometimes they have a good marketing campaign and can spend money on that. But, other movies, like you said, they don't have that great of a marketing campaign. I want to say I heard of Palm Springs through some sort of commercial or ad I saw on YouTube or something. Yeah, I mean, that essentially, if the studio doesn't have enough money to market it, then either way, if it's released online or if it's released, in theaters, I don't think it's gonna do much. I don't know. What do you think about all this, Dave?
So the idea that what we're asking if an independent type film has less of a chance in this environment or the old environment, I don't know, because we're seeing an example. This Palm Springs had a budget. I'm looking at this now of $5 million, so pretty. Small for certainly not for theatrical release, but
yeah,
I'm guessing most indie films are under that probably.
Mine are.
Yeah. Yeah,
for a lot under that.
For under that. So, but I don't know. Maybe there's like a leveling effect where at least for the time being, it does give an opportunity for small, because at the end of the day, if it's on your TV screen, it's all kind of equal in a sense, isn't it? In kind of a way, like I'm just as likely to tune into Palm Springs as I am to Eurovision or to whatever else was maybe a release that came out in 2019 that had maybe $100 million budget. But it doesn't necessarily appeal to me as much. I'm thinking of maybe something like, I don't know, I'm thinking the last movie, one of the last movies I saw in the theaters was the Suicide Squad sequel, which really wasn't that good. That thing probably had a much bigger budget, and I liked. I'll just say now, I liked Palm Springs more than that. So maybe there is maybe some hope for some things, because it does knock down this whole tentpole idea. So maybe it could give other creators a chance. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, people will be more picky about what they choose. I don't know, but yeah, it's. You look at an A24 film from last year, The Lighthouse. You could easily. You didn't have to see that in the theaters. I don't think it was $4 million budget. $18 million it made in the box office. So, $4 million budget, again, in today's movie standards, other than Dan Franco movies, it's not that much. But I don't know how much. Yeah, I mean, Palm Springs, like what they're making money from their subscriptions through Hulu, right?
Yeah, they're getting subsidized through Hulu subscribers. But no, so maybe let's rephrase this in a different way to ask Dan, what is the best environment for smaller independent films to flourish? That's kind of the heart of the issue. So what would you say? What would be the ideal environment for that? I
mean, we all. It's getting on Prime. It's getting on Netflix. It's getting on getting Showtime or Stars or whoever it is to pick up your film through festival or whatever it might be. But it's also getting them to put you on the part of the page where people find you, as opposed to having to dig deep into subgenres to before your tile shows up on the screen.
That's a good point. Now, because I guess like when I'm on Netflix, I've got to love. I had a subscription for Netflix. I got rid of it. Now we got it back, and I kind of have a love-hate for it because I find much of their original content to be just insufferable, particularly their TV shows. I mean, I watch it. I'm like, what in God? I think they're just creating things just to have a space and a thing for you to click on and watch. I don't know.
Like Eurovision?
Yeah, there's just like, what are you doing? Are you guys even trying? You're just content filling. And there's no artistic merit in a lot of that stuff. So, and it gets buried, I guess, as Dan's saying. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it, but where are we? Because I think people do want, like me, I'm looking around for something interesting, and I feel like I'm getting the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't know if we've necessarily sorted that out, where you can get independent, creative people to still have their voice coming out if it's being buried by nonsense on Netflix, whereas I could watch something like The Night Watchman or something versus, the same generic TV show 10 times over, just rebranded.
Well, and we're talking about a film also that has the same trope that we've seen in how many movies?
Well, I know right? one very clear movie, right?
Hang on, before we get into that, if any of the listeners haven't seen this movie yet, stop now and watch the movie before you know anything about it, because I think there's some revelations and some discoveries that you're going to want to. I went into it not knowing anything about it, just kind of had heard good word of mouth, didn't know any of the plot or the premise, and I just went in kind of trusting that the people who said check this out were people whose opinions I generally like and agree with.
No, that's great advice. Yeah,
and I'm glad I didn't know, because it was refreshing.
Definitely. So you didn't watch a trailer at all then?
Nope.
Or wow. Yeah, so I kind of wish I didn't watch the trailer first, because it did obviously give away, what the movie essentially was about. But yeah, that's a great point. So from here on out, if you haven't seen the movie, stop and don't look up anything about it. Just watch it. Just watch it and come back to us.
Spoilers coming. Yes.
Yes. But yes, obviously the Groundhog Day trope, the Edge of Tomorrow trope. It's all in here. It's living the same day over and over again. Andy Samberg,
Kristen Milioti.
There we go. There we have it.
How I Met Your Mother tie-in.
Which we'll get to that later.
Okay. Okay, you got something for that. Great.
I do.
But as you were saying, Dave, about how, people need to be more, maybe more creative. My wife was even saying that earlier when I was telling her about the news with the whole Paramount consent decree. It's got to be a shorter term for that. The PCD. My wife was even saying, like, maybe people need to be more creative now. But I mean, you got a movie like this, which I'll say right off the bat was so refreshing to me, and I've really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But yet, it's something. The premise I've seen multiple times in movies. So I don't know if it's necessarily the writing. Is it the actors? So I mean that's going to be interesting to kind of go over maybe a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think one quick thing I'll say is it's very appropriate for COVID-19 because this has been Groundhog Day. You don't know what day it is. You know, it could have been a year. I don't know. When we were even talking, there's no sense of time. Was it yesterday or was it 3 months ago? We were talking about the same goddamn thing. And where the hell are we? And so I think this movie does work on that level, even though it is a bit of it's not completely original, although it does kind of have an original spin. It was right for now, and it was a good. I think it was a good one to come out just right now. It did hit on that. I think Ben, maybe you hit on. You said earlier is it hit at the right time, even though it wasn't going to be a big theatrical release or something. Come on, Hulu, and it did kind of strike a chord.
Dan, are you an Andy Samberg guy?
You know, I wasn't not. I've watched some of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I like it. I don't. You know, I'm not hooked on it. I don't. When we're watching it, I'll watch it, but I didn't go out of my way to find it.
Sure.
I always thought his what do they call those? The video or the indie shorts that he did, digital shorts on
digital
SNL
shorts
were probably the best thing that they did. You know, during that time. But it's always hard when you get those guys, those Saturday Night Live guys, or the comedian guys who go into. And this was a comedy, but there had to be a sincerity to it. For it to work. Which is, I think,
this isn't Eurovision,
right. And then that's hard because you know, with Will Ferrell, or for me, Jim Carrey, I have a hard time with him when he doesn't do his normal Jim Carrey thing because I don't believe it. I don't. There's just something to me where there's almost like still a little wink to the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas opposed to Steve Carell is fantastic. Like when Crazy Stupid Love or Dan in Real Life or any of those, he's so believable and so just real and natural in the moment. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like he's the jokes that do come through aren't self-aware.
Right. That's kind of how I felt too about Jason Bateman. I think when I first started watching Ozark, I thought like, I'm just gonna see him. I'm just gonna see the funny, Jason Bateman, like you said, aware of his jokes and all that. But yeah, it's similar to how I felt.
Good.
I know it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's like. How are you this good? And you're this good in other genres as well.
We were just
ridiculous.
talking about him because we were watching The Outsider or The Outsiders, Outsider on HBO. We kind of lost track of it in the middle, but we're gonna finish it up here shortly. But there's a scene that he has with the cop that arrested him. In
Ben Mendelsohn.
And he says, "You asked me if I touched your kid," and there's this whole model. It is like. Is phenomenal, and I'm really happy for him. I was sitting here thinking about it the other day, and we were watching something else with him in it, but when the Emmy nominations came out, and like he's been around since like Silver Spoons, and like my entire life, he's been on Mike TV and in my movies, and he's just so freaking good.
He really is.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I just had to go look up his IMDb. I mean, Juno, he's got a great role in that. A little creepy, but great.
It is a little creepy, yeah.
Extract, which is a highly underrated movie, if you guys have seen that.
Yeah. Ben Affleck got a small role in that, and I was like, what is he doing in this? And I'm like, he's actually pretty great in this.
Hancock, he played a good role there.
Yeah. Smoking Aces.
Yeah, just tons of stuff. He's great in everything, and even that movie with Melissa McCarthy, Identity Thief. I laughed a lot. At that.
This Is Where I Leave You with. That's a great cast.
Yeah. Horrible Bosses. I liked. I mean, Game Night.
So good.
So much stuff. And there's this show called Arrested Development. I haven't seen it yet, but no, I'm just kidding. I've seen a million Arrested Development. I've seen it. I don't know how many times I've seen Arrested Development. It's on replay constantly in my house. So
I didn't expect Andy Samberg to land in that space, and he kind of did. I think he pulled off a very relatable character, a very, a character that you can instantly kind of connect to it well.
definitely. And it's you connect to him.
You're on his side.
Especially, he's like, I love that line he gives when he's on the raft every time to the guy who's swimming. He's like, how's today going? He's like, yesterday, today, tomorrow, it's all the same. And like, we've been saying, like, it's the same with, what we've been going through with quarantine and all that. It's like, just like, it's all the same. Like,
I mean, they couldn't have had any clue how
right.
How relevant to our current situation this movie would be when it would come out.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, this movie, I think either way would have been great, but like, who knows how many people would have actually gotten to enjoy it, had it not been for this, So it's like, I'm sure more people recommended it because of COVID. Like, oh, this relates to us, so much more than it would have if it just came out normally and, didn't have, this backing behind it. It still would have been the same movie, but I guess we can relate to it more.
Definitely. Yeah. And one contrast I like to Groundhog Day is the fact that the Andy Samberg character, he kind of, there's nihilism in both characters because you're there for God knows how long. And I think, Ben, when we did the Groundhog Day episode, I think I speculated it could have been hundreds of years or something,
Yeah, I think they said that it was probably hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, that's insane.
but the thing I liked about Andy Samberg is, there's Bill Murray obviously in his delivery and his, his own kind of nihilism, which is funny. But I did like at some point he's just like, I'm just gonna drink beer every day and float in a pool, and who cares? And I'm just gonna kind of have a little bit of fun with life. I really did like that kind of a twist and that approach that he took, because I was right there with him. Like, I'll just put on my stupid shirt and my short, my Hawaiian shirt or whatever, and I'm gonna drink beer, and I'm just gonna. This is it. This is how I'm going to a wedding. I'm gonna keep my same outfit. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want, and this is it. Whatever, because what the hell does it matter?
And that was so genius the way they revealed, like, because we don't know that he is already aware. We've seen Groundhog Day and we've seen all these time loop movies where the person figures it out as it's happened to them for the first 2 or 3 or 4 times. But he's already maybe 1,000 years into this thing.
Seriously.
And he's now just in this place where he's like, okay, this is how it is. Every now and then Roy shows up and kills me, but otherwise I just drink beer and do a lot of screwing here at this party.
Exactly.
And,
I mean, it's nice leg. Anytime you wanted sex in the morning, but I mean, it's you get her, initially finding out she, something happened. What did you do to me? I like how there's actually something that someone has to do in order to get into this loop. They have to go into that cave and get I don't even know, it was after an earthquake, so it opened up this portal. And they even get into quantum physics.
We should try our best here to describe the plot, which is that Andy Samberg is
you should try your best to describe the plot.
Andy Samberg is at they're at a destination wedding in Palm Springs. He is there with his girlfriend. And the main other character, who is How I Met Your Mother, Christian Milioti, is the sister of the bride. So they're there, and what basically happens in one of the opening scenes, or at least the first wedding scene, is Andy Samberg or his girlfriend. Well, no, actually, he tries to have sex with his girlfriend. He can't quite. It's not quite happening. She's really annoying, and then we cut to the wedding. I'm sure I'm skipping over things. She does a terrible, really obnoxious toast, and then he takes over, and he's giving a toast, but he's giving it to Kristen Milioti. I mean, he is speaking to her pretty directly.
Right.
And then that's kind of that's the clue to figure, because it's like, how does he know her? And that's kind of how we figure out how he knows her. So they're all kind of trapped, or he's trapped in this Palm Springs wedding situation, and with a girlfriend he doesn't like, and he's kind of trying to just, I don't know, live out his existence. And the one night where him and Kristen kind of connect, he takes her out to the desert, after the reception, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then guys, let's talk about the cave.
Yeah. So I guess during the earthquake, this cave opened up, and that's sort of like the epicenter of this temporal, whatever it is, temporal hole. and he must have at some point a long time ago wandered in there.
I was like, what's in there? He's like, oh, I think the best answer we get is it's your ancestors. Is that right? I think that's what he says.
Oh yeah, he does say that. I think at the beginning he says, "Yeah, it's your ancestors." But yeah, we don't really get an answer to what it actually is.
Not that we need it. No.
Yeah, no, we don't, and we never get an answer in Groundhog Day. There's
the cool thing is that at the very first time we see him interacting at the reception, he gets up and he gives this great speech, and he's there at this wedding in like his swim trunks and a Hawaiian shirt, and he's popping a beer with in the middle of his speech, just zero fucks, he is just winging it.
Yeah.
But he moves in and out of the reception when people are dancing, and he puts a chair down for someone who's going to fall. He knows what move they're doing to be able to like do it opposite them.
Yep.
And we're basically starting where Groundhog Day ended. By the time Bill Murray got to this point, he was aware of everything, and he had made his realizations and found the meaning of life and found love, and that was his out. And clearly, Andy's way past this point, or Niles is way past this point, and it still didn't matter. Like this just doesn't matter. And which I really like that concept that, whereas fate or whatever it was trying to push Bill Murray to be a better person, in this situation, fate didn't care. You're just stuck, and now you have to find meaning in this world that there's no consequences. There's nothing you do matters, because the next day you just wake right back up where you were.
Yeah, there's no reward from saving the old lady from falling down, like you said, by pulling out the chair, or someone who's having a heart attack when they're choking or something, right? That was the other thing. It just goes on and on and on. There's no obvious answer to him, and he says "fuck it," basically.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, it is more about what's the meaning of all this. What's the meaning of life, all that. Because Groundhog Day, I guess you could say the purpose is more how do I get out of this situation, whereas this is just how do I find meaning now that I'm stuck in this situation. So I like that there's definitely differences there, and I love where this went, because when I did watch the trailer beforehand, and they do show that it's a movie that's essentially the same day over and over, and I could have swore the J.K. Simmons character was going to be a character that already was in the loop before Andy Samberg. Like, it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed like that's where it was going to go. Mm-hmm. But it was refreshing after watching the trailer to see that it was actually Andy Samberg that brought him there, which I thought was cool. And because when he first comes up to him, he's like, it seems like he knows that Andy Samberg is going through some stuff, so he's like, all right, I'm gonna show him what's up. But no, that's not the case. Andy Samberg shows him what's up. He's like, this is the best night of my life. This is great. They're doing coke together and all that. He eventually gets J.K. Simmons to go in the cave, because J.K. Simmons is like, this is the best night of my life. I don't want to ever go home. But little do we know, J.K. Simmons did not want that. He did not want that at all, and that brings up a whole nother thing. Yeah, because go ahead.
Andy Samberg character meets up with J.K. Simmons at the bar, and it's J.K. Simmons, right? I mean, he's cantankerous, he's got an attitude, and then something that because Andy Samberg has lived so long, maybe I don't want to call it a pickup line, because it's a bro pickup line in a sense, where you say to a dude, not a girl, but something to, I mean, well, maybe there's something there. How many times did he maybe try to engage the J.K. Simmons character? A couple of times.
Well, he says that he was still early on, and if you look at it in that flashback, he's still in like the tux. He's still dressed up for the wedding. Okay. He's still trying to talk to the bartender, like, do you know what's going on? Like, you're part of this, right?
Yeah.
So he's still. This is early enough, and he's still trying to sort shit out way before he's just given up. So
that's interesting. So he's just trying to figure things out, and he's kind of like dropping lines, I guess, for a better word, at people just to see where, how engaged they are. And then he gets J.K. Simmons engaged, and then they go off on this crazy drug-addled night, right? It's just hilarious.
And he says, I wish this night could never end. He's like, well, as a matter of fact,
I've got the answer right here. Door number 1.
But then it's cool because you mentioned that he meets up with him. Like, so we'll jump in way ahead. So one of the things that they really hit here is that pain, even though you can't die, you can still feel pain. And if you end up in ICU, you feel pain over weeks and months or whatever. But the second you finally fall asleep, you reset. So, how many times maybe has he gone like a month further down the line before he's cycled right back to the end? Right. But when J.K. Simmons she hits him with a car. Sarah, Kristen Miliotti's character, hits him with a car, and he's like, I didn't realize what I was doing to you. And then he just sort of finds his peace in enjoying that day. He watches his 2 kids. His wife is making dinner. He's like, this is the best day. This is the best it was. It was never better than this. And he he found his meaning.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because I mean, you have you don't know what you got till it's gone sort of thing. That's kind of what J.K. Simmons is going through, because he's saying, like, I don't want this day to end. Like, this is the best day I've ever had and everything like that. And, like, he didn't realize what he had right there. Same thing that happens every day. We're going to cook dinner. We're going to watch TV. We're going to sit out in the yard, going to watch the kids play. They're going to draw a picture.
My kid's watering dog shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like, it's.
But where he had said that the marriage is like this bottomless pit. And he's now found that this has given him the gift of different perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, and maybe just me, but I'm like, wait, he lives in, I don't know where J.K. Simmons lives. He lives in some other town. I forget what they said. And I'm like, well,
Irvine.
Irvine. Okay. So I'm like, well, why is he in Irvine? And then I'm like, oh, everybody just wakes up wherever the hell they were. So if you would, I don't know, for by chance flown in from Europe that day, you'd wake up in France or something, every single day. And he decides, no, this is after doing it day after day, he's like, no, this is cool. This is what I want. Yeah. And there was something kind of deep there. And it was interesting. He's showing the Andy Samberg character that there is kind of something else. The one thing I do want to say, though, I hate to knock Andy Samberg as an actor here, but by comparison, the J.K. Simmons stuff, I mean, he's an Oscar-winning actor. He's incredible, clearly. And it did kind of show to me, at least, that, who was on the level there. Everything J.K. Simmons says and does is always the most interesting thing you're going to see versus Andy Samberg. I think he kind of had a little bit of a hard time kind of catching up there, just a little bit. And not that I'll just say it's a bit of a critique. I don't know if Andy Samberg is quite there as a dramatic actor. Certainly not in comparison with J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, and I don't know.
It's a weakness of the film. I do want to point that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, compare them to, but at the same time, like, I don't know if it's, if that's what they were going for. Like, I mean, obviously it's still labeled as a comedy, I would say, it's definitely a comedic movie. It's actually, it's a comedy. I mean, that's what it, boils down to. But yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, it's, I can't, but did deny the fact.
Did you guys feel that way at any point in the movie? Because there was, I don't know, I can't point them out specifically, but there was a few times in the movie I'm like, all right, Andy Samberg he's funny, he's a likable enough guy, but he's not quite quite being the actor that I would.
I mean, I'll agree with you. Yes, J.K. Simmons is a better actor than than Andy Samberg, but I wasn't thinking that in this movie. I was just, I think the movie did a great job for me not to think that. So
2 against 1 here, Dan.
Even in that scene, and here J.K. Simmons has found his truth or his meaning,
right.
And so even in that scene, he has the knowledge, he has the power in that scene, and Andy Samberg is learning from him. So he's almost a lesser character in the power structure of that scene.
It's a good point.
I do love. He's like, can you just give me one more time for old time's sake? I need traffic to get back.
Kill me so I don't have to drive in traffic.
He gets inside the garbage container and gets shot by the arrow. It's hilarious.
But for me, the chemistry between Andy and Kristen was fantastic. I truly believed that these two people were, had this connection and were falling in love, and that it wasn't forced, it wasn't contrived. They cared about each other. And so I bought that 100%.
Me too. I think she actually gave the best performance of the whole movie. I knocked Andy Samberg a little bit, but I think she was great in this film. I'd like to see more of her, and I wish there was more of her. I thought she was phenomenal. And I love the reveal because we don't know. We assume she's waking up in a hotel room by herself. And then here we are about halfway, 2/3, whatever through the movie. We realize, Jesus Christ, she's waking up in the groom's room with the grooms. She freaking banged the groom before the night of the wedding. And God, no wonder why she feels like shit every single time. So
and even better, like the way they frame that reveal is they have this great moment out in this tent in the middle of the desert, and they have sex, and they have this moment. He's falling asleep. She's just looking at him, and she seems content and happy, and really, and then bang, she wakes up, and then we get the reveal of this other thing.
Yeah.
And when we were talking earlier about like there's no consequences, she wakes up every day with the consequences for actions.
Great call. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Because her and Andy Samberg have, well, unbeknownst to us, I think at that point we think Andy Samberg has been a little bit gentlemanly, as we call it, at least according to his story, that they haven't had sex yet, and finally, they're connecting, and of course later he reveals that they banged like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But at least for the audience, it's a final nice romantic moment where she's able to maybe to get over that thing that she did, and then bam, yeah. So great call, Dan. Yeah, the way those two things work together, excellent.
Yeah. And that's where I wanted to sidebar into How I Met Your Mother, because I just rewatched it, like I said earlier, and God, I really wish they would have brought her in earlier. Like, I felt like it, not as much this second time through, but the first time through, I was hate watching that show by the end.
It was like you gotta hate that.
Who is she? Yeah, now you're gonna kill her after you introduce her? What the hell is that?
Oh, dude. I'm not even on that. I'm just saying that, like, I really wish we'd have gotten more than a season of her interacting with these characters. Like, she was this great energy to that group. Yeah. I wish they'd have brought her in 2 seasons earlier.
I agree.
And given us some time with her, because she's fantastic and she deserved that. That finale, that pissed me off. People want to shit on Game of Thrones. No. So in my book, if you go to YouTube, and the How I Met Your Mother has an official, like the How I Met Your Mother production group made an official alternate ending, and
it's check this out.
And it is worth checking out. It is, to me, I've decided that is in my canon the way the show ended.
My gosh.
I didn't want it to become How I Met Your Stepmother or How I Met Your Aunt Robin. It does a great job of just saying, it's all about the mom, and this is my path. All I had to do to get to her was these things. And he kind of recaps the different steps he took to find her.
Ben, are you a fan of the show?
I've only watched like the first couple seasons.
I hate
so
you. Okay, so can we do?
I now know what happens, kind of.
Well, I don't know. Don't spoil me, Dan. But so, what did you, if you don't mind this digression, because I love the show. My wife and I watched it, crazily. The ultimate end. Do you still have a problem with the ultimate end, getting to Robin, or was it, or what? You're not a fan of that either?
Because for me, his whole story was, she was just another. Because he's got all these girls that he dated along the way, the cupcake girl and Elliot
Victoria.
from Scrubs, and the mom is just another girl on the way to getting ultimately to Robin, and that I felt was just kind of a betrayal of 9 years of
interesting
of this thing.
But the kids love Robin, don't they?
They do, and that's fine. And ultimately, if something happens to the person that you're with, you still want to find happiness. But it just turned it into, because on day one, episode 1 pilot, he meets Robin,
Yes.
He tells her he loves her, and so the entire story is really about Robin. It's not about the mom. She's a road post along the way, but it's really about how he ultimately is going to go back and win her in the end.
So, wow, here we go. We need to have a How I Met Your Mother podcast. So what did the show is basically? So your point of some reading is the show essentially undermined its own premise.
To me, yeah, I feel like the show should be called How I Met Your Stepmother, because if that's really the story he's telling. He tells the story about the mom, but he's really telling them that to lay the groundwork for, I'm going to go ask your Aunt Robin out.
Yeah.
Now that we're both old and single.
Okay. Last thing.
Why do they call her Aunt Robin if it's her stepmom?
Just like close friends.
Yeah, it's the way you might tell your kids to call me Uncle Dave or something.
No,
I'm
not there yet,
creepy.
Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be an uncle. I'm just saying. All right. Well, let's move on here, Dan. We'll maybe put a pin in this one. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
How
check
I Met
that
Your
out.
Mother. Look at that.
But the alternate ending is definitely worth checking out. I feel like, to me, that landed. Now, here's what I will give them. I'm sorry to keep staying in this place.
No, go for it.
They made a bold choice, and they played it all the way through. And apparently this was their goal from the very beginning, because
that's what George Lucas said.
Yeah. But in this situation, they filmed all those scenes with the 2 kids on day 1, because 9 years later, those kids didn't look like that.
No.
So they filmed everything from those kids. They knew where they were going. And that's when I've seen the writers of that show say that they were, they always laughed about Lost, saying, "Oh, you were allowed to wing it?" Like,
you can do that?
Because we were really tracking this shit of who encountered who, when, and where.
It can be all nonsense, J.J. Abrams style. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Not to spoil the end or anything, but that's what I love about Breaking Bad is that they did wing it. They didn't know necessarily what was going to happen when they introduced certain things, but the writing is just so good that they did wing it, and kind of just were like, all right, let's write around this, and all right, we'll now incorporate.
I think the Mike character only came into the show because there was Saul wasn't available for the shoot, so they had to, and he had auditioned for them earlier, and they liked him, so they brought him back because they couldn't get that actor back to deal with the situation that Walter was in.
Oh,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's
one thing.
It became a 3-season arc,
but they were able to write themselves through it, which is great. Great writing.
Only thing I will say about the going way back is the last season Breaking Bad. I didn't understand the transition to the.
Don't forget, Dan hasn't seen everything yet.
Well, no, this is general. The neo-Nazi biker gang thing. I didn't. To me, that none of that fit with the story at all, and I didn't understand where we were there. And I'll just stop with that. To me, it just felt very disconnected to what we had seen in the prior seasons. And I'm like, well, who are these?
Well, they met Todd though.
Well, they met Todd, but then he's I don't know. I'll stop there. It just didn't feel like the same show anymore at some point. So it felt like Sons of Anarchy or something. So
all right, shut up now. All right, we're gonna.
No, let's do How I Met Your Mother talk.
Yeah, let's do. All right, How I Met Your Mother. No, so yeah, Andy Samberg, he pushes her off.
Andy Samberg, that's our
he shoos her off, and she's upset that they had sex multiple times. And she goes off and tries to find a way to get out of this time loop. She starts calling quantum physicists and starts learning quantum physics. And none of it I know.
You don't know this stuff?
I don't know anything about. But she learns it. And she finds out that we need to blow ourselves up.
And that's the fun thing is, like, how long did that little sidebar take?
Right.
How many years and tens of years did she become this expert on quantum physics?
Forever, because by
Yeah.
the point she's talking to professors, and he's like, well, obviously I don't need to tell you anything because you don't have the answers. But I do want to ask about this because I was wondering, is this should there be a scientific answer to this problem, or should this be more of and I guess maybe that's the break from Groundhog Day. Should this be more of a spiritual answer to a problem? That kind of a thing. Can this thing just be worked out on some pieces of paper? I don't know. And it's more about solving yourself than some timing of quantum physics kind of a thing. What do you guys think of that?
But I think it still came down to faith, because she had this theory, and this theory was great on paper or on computer constructs, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know what happened with that goat that she blew. So she sends a goat in, and in the 3 seconds it sets to reset, she blows the goat up. And but they don't know. And that's the big thing at the end, is that they're sitting there like, well, if we go through this, we might actually just blow ourselves up, and that might be the end of it.
Yeah, good point.
We could die outside of the time loop, and then we're just dead.
Yeah.
And then the question is that worth the risk to have either a life together outside of here or a life outside of here, whether we're together or not?
Yeah.
Or just to not be in here anymore.
Right. So it presents its own another problem. Yeah. So and Andy Samberg is like, nah, just stay here. It's not worth the risk. And that's one of the things we talked about in Groundhog Day. I think, Ben, when either in the recap or either in the episode or in a recap, just mentioning it again, is, to me, the biggest thing with Groundhog Day is what happens when it's over, because now my life really means something, where I've lived for God knows how long, hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years, where my life basically didn't matter what I did every single day. And now today, man, I can't die. I gotta put on my seatbelt. I gotta really take care of myself here, because if I die, it's over for real.
I think that's where this movie comes in, is, at the end, they are willing to kill themselves if they can't just live together forever. They are willing to go to that, go through it, go through with it, as, Dan was saying. So I think that's the ultimate answer. It's like, are we going to just keep living day after day, just not knowing what's actually going to happen? I could go and, kill myself on, I don't know, jump in the Grand Canyon or something. I don't know. But, but the next day I'll be okay and I'll be right here by your side. Or is it just about, all right, well, if you're going to do this, I'm going to do it too, because I'd rather be dead than not be with you.
And that comes right on the heels of the scene with Roy, and he says, you have to find your Irvine. Right. And she is his thing, his happy place in all of this. She's the only thing in however many hundreds or thousands of years that he's been doing this that has been worth, changing the cycle for.
Right. Yeah. And I just love the little tiny moments in this movie. Like, even just him when he's first hitting on her at the beginning, after he gives that speech and stuff, she says something about his girlfriend, and he's like, oh, she doesn't love me. And it just switches to her like banging some dude in the bathroom. And she's like, yeah, see, I told you. There's so many little moments like that in this movie. Where
that was a bit shocking the first time to see it. Cause it's like, how many times has he looked through the window? Number one, right. But, cause we don't know what's going on. Like, yeah. I mean, we knew she sucked, but we didn't know she was going to be, that bad to him, cause so not only like his day sucks, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's not in anything really all that great. He's not at home. He's with a girlfriend he doesn't love, who doesn't love him, who was willing to cheat on him, was going to cheat on him every single freaking day. And so it's similar to her. I mean, she wakes up, ashamed and guilty because it's worse. But I understand. I mean, both of them basically wake up to shit every single day because they know that, there is no, it's not like I'm waking up in some resort or something where it's going to be an okay day. Every day kind of is crap. It is interesting to see that way. It's not just like in Groundhog Day, Phil Connors could make anything of that day, can't he? In a sense, whereas he's just kind of an asshole and needs to learn not to be an asshole anymore. Whereas these people need to really work through some serious shit.
And he's not even there as like family or friend. He's the plus one. So he's even more
Right.
removed from the whole situation.
Yeah, there's that one scene where they're all doing coke and they're like, "Well, Misty's boyfriend, you want to get in on this or something?" They don't even know his name.
Well, and I love every time he barges in the morning and her parents are there and stuff, and he's just like,
And he's like, Missy's
"I'm
boyfriend.
Niles. What do you mean? Like what?"
Just making margaritas at like
He's
9 in the morning.
He's like getting annoyed that they don't know him. It's awesome.
And I need to give a shout out to one of my castmates on The Night Watchman. She's an actor in this area in New York and in the Mid Atlantic, and she's also a stunt performer. And she did the face plant, the sister's face plant on the pool deck in this movie. So when the sister busts her teeth out, that's my friend. Her name's Ileana Everhart.
That was brutal to watch, man. Great job by her.
So she's part of the Night Watchman crew. One of our clown pyres.
Oh man, I think they played that one twice, right? Because we saw the initial shock and then redid. Oh man, brutal! Freaking getting your teeth knocked out.
Yeah, that's rough stuff. So good job.
I found
Good
a
job
dentist
there.
who can glue teeth, or whatever Peter Gallagher says.
We did it. What?
Excellent.
So what? Do you guys remember how far he said he drove one time? Like how far he was able to get?
Yeah, it's like Equatorial Guinea, wherever the fuck
he
that
got on a
is.
plane though. He said he hopped on a plane, but he was all methed out, and so they as soon as he got off the plane, they arrested him, and then he passed out, and he was right back.
All right, so what would you guys? I mean, just think. I mean, what would you guys do? I mean, I don't know, because I was trying to think of that too. I mean, what would
The ultimate question.
Right. I mean, what would I if I knew? All right, so maybe before the complete nihilism sits in, where you just give up, where you just go into the pool because whatever.
It's funny because his name is Niles.
Yeah,
Niles,
Nihilism.
Nilesism. Would you try to do day trips as the best you could? I mean, Equatorial Guinea, you don't have to be on meth to go there. I mean, you could go. I don't know. I mean, something. I mean, what? Do you have a thought on this? I mean, what?
Yeah,
how would you be feeling, or would you just give up quickly? What would you do? I mean,
me, yeah, most likely, yeah, I most likely would
try to do a podcast every single day.
Come on, we gotta have the perfect podcast. Today's gonna be the day. And
would you try to find like a lost love? Would you try to? Would you? I mean, I don't know. What would you do? And is that
I would try to find the perfect phrase to say to someone to give me what I want. Like I would try to find like the human the human psyche. Like I would discover that and try to say like, is there a correct way to say certain words in a certain way for someone to do X, give me $1 million or, just something like that. I feel like I would try to figure that out. I mean, that would take a long time, obviously.
So it'd be like a study of the human condition, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. Just like, is there
try to figure everything. So by the end, you're like, I can say a word, and to anybody I interact
like an
with.
algorithm.
Yeah. Would you do algorithm, Dan? What'd you do?
Sorry, I was just trying to see how far Skywalker Ranch is from Palm Springs. So if I went into the cycle,
can't be that far.
I'd spend a lot to time breaking in there.
You got to do the Grand Canyon one, or at least, right?
I mean, that can't be too far, obviously. And
I'd probably have a hard time breaking out of the whole somewhere in this I'm going to pay for the bad things I do in here. Karma.
Oh, so would you guys try to? Because I think at some point you'd want to I'm thinking of myself. I'd probably all right. So in terms of all right. Let's maybe put this into categories. Things you want to do to make you happy. So Dan goes Skywalker Ranch. I'm thinking Grand Canyon. Maybe, do happy things, right? Learn how to sail or something like that, or learn how to, I don't know, race a car or something like that, right? So those are the things that come to mind. So what about happy things? Play a guitar. Maybe you do a song where you show up, or there's live music and you play a song and everybody loves you, kind of a thing. That's something. What about that? Think of happy things, guys.
Well, you just said it.
Are there any others?
Yeah, I'd learn guitar. I'd learn Italian. I've started that here.
You just start talking Italian to people.
Corona void.
Are you Italian, Dan?
I am.
Oh, okay, great. My grandparents are off the boat, so from Naples.
Wow. My grandmother was the first of her siblings born here.
Oh, beautiful.
We're on the other side. We're on the eastern coast.
Nice.
His last name starts with the vowel, Dave. What did you think he was? You know, I mean,
true.
come on.
Ben, happy things? You got any?
I mean, like you said, like it would be cool to crush a crowd, you know, with my guitar skills. I mean, I already know how to play guitar, but you know, I could always improve. You know, maybe piano. You know, learn piano.
You show up and you do like Elton John.
Yeah,
or
Billy
something.
Joel. Yeah. Elton John. Yeah, same thing.
What about?
but-
Okay, you got more.
No, I don't.
What about criminal activity? Because I'm thinking, you know, you buy a gun and you just go like. I mean, would you do that? Go like?
Why does it have to be violent?
Well, I don't know, because you got because all right. Imagine you have infinite lives, right? This is a video game with infinite lives. Like you have a purpose to the video game where you're supposed to do an objective, but then sometimes, like I don't know, like Grand Theft Auto, where sometimes you just shoot people, you know, because would you try
I'm
to
bored.
because I'm bored? Yeah. Would you try to do that? Would you go like, okay, how can I rip off this bank? You know, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think there's a point where once you get past so this is really never going to end no matter what I do, and I think that's when you start opening the options,
Right.
into things that you might not normally have done.
Once I know 100% for sure that there's going to be absolutely no consequences to me or anybody else, then yes, maybe I might do some Grand Theft Auto shit. All right, Dave?
Great.
But I wouldn't start with murder. I'd like hurt somebody and make sure that the next day that they were cool before I started killing people.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Be like,
You're still here?
remember?
Okay, now I can whack some people.
Yeah, because you don't. Because
You remember me cutting off your pinky ever? Or okay, no, okay, cool.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I was just kidding, bro. I was just kidding.
I don't know, you get into a fight with the wrong person and you end up like, you know, having some teeth knocked out or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's true. But hey, you will wake up with
Until tomorrow,
with
yeah.
teeth.
Tomorrow. But as Andy Samberg says, you know, you don't want to end up in the ICU. That's really, really, really
Yeah,
painful.
that's not a place you want to be.
Which brings me to my next one. Sorry, which is, you know, the suicide thing. I'm not a suicidal guy, and if I'm gonna die, I want it to be quick and painless. Would you guys explore the depths of suicide the way Andy Samberg did, and the way we saw in Groundhog Day? You know, maybe you go out swimming with some sharks, or you know, do some crazy shit. I don't know.
It would be interesting what it's like to die, I guess. You know, what it actually feels like on that dying moment. You know, to be able to speak on that. You know, what actually does happen. Because obviously no one's been able to say that since the dawn of time. You know, what the actual moment is like. Does your life flash before your eyes? Do you see a white light? You know, all that. So yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to explore that. Yeah, sure.
Dan?
Yeah,
Dave's getting really morbid here and dark. So
Well, this
Yeah, I
is the
think
stuff the movie talks about. So
it's true. It's true.
I think there's a certain point where you've been there so long that you're just looking for any way out. You know,
Right.
You can't live that same day over and one more time, and you know, and so obviously, and I like the first time that I like that he doesn't even try to stop her. He's like, you know, you're just gonna wake up in the same place. When she starts to speed the car up,
Yeah.
and she's gonna go in the path of the semi. He takes his seatbelt off and he leans over into the airbag. He's like, I'm just going to make sure it happens fast. You know, like, very matter of fact.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I just love that they just keep, you know, playing back to earlier moments. Like even at the end, you know, once they do explode, you see them floating in a pool, and that was a moment we saw earlier where he floated in a pool. And he's like, "I know they weren't here today," and then they show up the next day at the end. He's like, "Oh, I guess they come home November 10th or you know whenever it was." I thought that was a fitting moment.
That's when they come home.
Yeah.
would there be a point where you're so bored where you want to feel something, even if it's an awful feeling, because you become so disenfranchised, numb to the world, where Maybe I don't know. I mean, the movie doesn't quite say this, but now I'm just thinking. Do you want to be like, all right, maybe some pain? Pain is the only thing I can get out of this world. I don't know. I'm just.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, like
all these questions you're asking, let's hear your answer.
Well, I just wonder. I mean, because you're here for
Would you want to explore the death portion that we just spoke about?
I don't want to, not now. But I wonder what I would.
No, I know not now. I'm just saying,
right?
If
Yeah,
you're living.
I mean, not now.
Like
But
Andy Samberg was.
How would I feel after hundreds of deaths? Maybe I want to know what it's like to be drawn and quartered. I don't know, or something like that. I have no clue. But at what point do you get to be like, I am so numb, I'm so done with the world where I just stab me or something? I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that.
And I think that's what it gets to, is how do you find meaning in the middle of all that? It's you can't. It's just so you just. He's reserved himself to this idea that there is no meaning. There's nothing matters, and I'm just gonna live every day. Whatever comes up, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
right.
So I would think he's past all. I guess all the stuff we've kind of speculated about. The Andy Samberg character is past all of that shit. He's probably gone through all of it, one way or another, through happiness, crime, suicide, death, all that. And now we're meeting him at a great point, as you say, Dan. Instead of seeing Phil Connors in Groundhog Day, who's learning and then finding his way into a universe, we're arrived at a man who's been here for an age, essentially. He's like, nah, this ain't it. The last thing, don't hurt me because I've done all this stuff. I've tried it all. I've been through here. He's kind of saying, he's almost like the old man kind of giving advice to like a young kid, in a sense where you don't want to go down this path because it leads to nothing but ruin. But he's still, even at that point, he still quite hasn't found his way out, and it is interesting. At that point, he almost becomes a coward in a sense, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's comfortable. He's kind of found his comfortable spot and his comfort zone there in this repetition, and he's afraid to go back, I think, to the real world. When she gives him that option, he's like, I want to stay here. I don't want to go back.
Definitely. You're a coward, Dave.
I am.
That's what I have to say.
I like my warm blankie.
And that's what I did like about the way they, we talked about that this time loop thing has happened just in so many movies.
Right.
I liked the way Edge of Tomorrow handled the repetition. Once they sort of set up the construct, they then started leapfrogging forward in it, so that we didn't have to see the same realization, the same, I got you, babe, every time that we set.
Yeah, it was definitely unique. And I forget, in Edge of Tomorrow, does Emily Blunt always know that Tom Cruise is waking up in the same day? Like, I know she's waking up in the same day.
No, so she lost it, but because she had it, once he tells her "I'm you," then she's got it. So as long as he gets her and tells her that, then she's with him.
Yeah, so he has to tell her that every day he wakes up. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the movies that we actually see that they both have the same memory of what happens when they do wake up and everything like that. Just with the J.K. Simmons character and all that. So I think this is another unique turn. I think this movie does is have them have the same memories and know what each other did, and it helps them be able to build a relationship that's believable and, so I appreciated that. Because I mean, even the, Bill Murray character, the audience sees him and Andy McDowell, be with each other the whole movie. But like, when you really think about it, like, is he really going to make her feel the way she does at the end in one day? Like, really? Is she really going to fall in love with him like that?
Yesterday, she thought he was the biggest asshole ever.
Exactly. So it's like,
I feel like this point.
Yeah, this movie, I feel like, is definitely more believable in that regard, that people could actually fall in love in this sickness. I'm going to call it a sickness.
Right. So there was a character I rewatched it last night because I caught this probably 3 weeks ago, a month ago. So I wanted to kind of refresh it.
Yeah, and we were all waiting on Dave to finally freaking watch it. So.
Always.
And there's one character at the wedding. So after he gives that great speech, which is really just him half-assing it, I love that he has raised a glass and he just pops the beer with his one hand. He gives this great speech about love, and it's really just all about getting with Sarah. And this old woman walks up to him and goes, "I've been to more weddings than you could imagine, and that's the best speech I've ever heard." And then when it comes all the way back around, the last time Sarah repeats, because she's now got this plan to go do this thing and get out of the cycle.
Right.
He gives a speech to her sister, and then she is going to leave. And the woman comes up and goes, "That was the best speech I've ever heard. And I guess you're going to leave now." So I was like, that old woman, I think, might be in the loop too. And just a completely different story than Niles and Sarah and Roy.
Yeah, did she have too many gin and tonics and wander into the cave?
Yeah.
I was definitely thinking something about that woman, when she initially was brought up and was saying those things. I was like, wait, what? How does she know this? I mean, I kind of want to see the sequel where we see her story now.
So what do we think of the big problem that clearly she slept with the groom? And how does this ultimately get resolved?
Doesn't she whisper something to her sister in the last speech, or
no? That was in the middle.
In the middle.
That was when she was trying to do the selfless thing, and then it still reset, and that's when she's like, "I have to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, right.
Now she tells the groom,
Bill Murray.
Sorry. Now she tells the groom later that don't screw this up or something. Was that the speech to knock him into sense, or does she just have to be just to make peace with her bad decisions?
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's exactly that. She gives this great speech to her sister. She tells him, "You and I both know," basically, and don't. And now she's going to go get out of this cycle. And
it's about fixing yourself and then blowing yourself up.
Yeah,
that's essentially what you have to do.
And I do like to think that the massive amounts of C4 that she was able to obtain, that she got them by breaking into the back room in an army surplus store.
I mean, obviously. I mean, yeah, she totally went full commando there, She definitely did that. And even in another day, she even, went to some island and destroyed some
she killed Sully last. She
painted her face and everything. And good callback.
Nice. Thank you.
And it does kind of have where they do the thing, they blow it up, and they end up in this pool that it's just a great way of showing that time has passed, because they're in this place that they've been on that day. They must have gone into this pool many, many times. And then the family shows up like, "What the fuck are you doing here in my pool?" Kind of a thing. It's a great way of just, showing that life does actually go on now, and we're released from this burden or whatever, and we've kind of made it through. I did like that.
And then there's this great, right before she goes off into blow herself up in the vortex, she leaves a message for somebody. We don't know who that is. She's on the phone. She's leaving a message and says, "We hope you can make it." And then, so there's a post-credit scene with Roy. I don't know if did you guys both catch that? Because a friend of mine
I saw the post-credit scene. Yeah.
So then
is that who she was calling?
That's who she was calling to let him know there's a way out. And so he shows back up at the wedding.
Yeah.
And he walks up to Andy Samberg, and Andy's back in the suit. It's the original alpha version of the original timeline. Andy, Niles.
That was
who the fuck are you? Like, what? And so then
that was
he realizes I can get out of this. This guy's not the same person that I've been hunting.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a way out. Yeah, I love that they added that little touch there after the credits. I thought that was great. And I guess I just didn't realize that's who she she called at the end. So that makes perfect sense. So, but yeah, I mean, that's Palm Springs. Any other thoughts you guys had on the film? Any other analyzing you had in mind, Dave?
No, not much for me. I'm enjoying the time loop as we sift through here since February, March.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's today.
I don't even know like what month it was that we did Commando. I feel like it was it April? Was it January? I don't know.
Wait, we're not doing Commando right now? I thought that's what we were talking about. So rating wise, how would we rate this film, guys?
All right, so I'll go in terms of stars and popcorn. I would say this is a good movie. This is a good movie with a very timely movie, of course, as we talked about with the time loop. Here we are in COVID. It's an inventive story, not particularly original. And despite, I think Andy Samberg did as good a job as he could have done. It's a little bit of a critique. And of course, what did I say? When he's there with J.K. Simmons, I think there's a stark contrast in acting talent. I think Andy Samberg struggles a little bit to carry the dramatic parts, but still very good. And so I'll say 3 stars. And in terms of entertainment, I think 3 buckets of popcorn. I was engaged. I was laughing. It's hard to judge this movie, but I'm going to judge it in the time that it came out. If this movie just came out kind of randomly, and maybe if I'd seen it in the theaters in a normal period of time, in a normal 2020, I might have been harsher towards it. But yeah, no, I'm generally positive. I think this is a good movie. Of course, I want to also mention Kristen Milioti did a great job. No, she genuinely really was good. I actually think she did a better job than Andy Samberg in this film. I think she was actually the star of this film, even though he's sort of kind of the headline. Her acting, everything she did in this film was fantastic. So I think this is overall a good movie. Very entertaining. So 3 stars, 3 buckets.
Yeah, as good as great as she. I wish we would have gotten more of her on How I Met Your Mother. She was she's a Broadway actress. She was in the Broadway original cast of the movie Once. They did the Broadway version of that movie.
Oh, she was in that. Oh, I freaking love that movie.
Yeah, so she's on the original Broadway soundtrack. She's the one singing on Falling Slowly.
Oh wow!
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't think in a different time this movie I might not have even watched it. I might not have caught it. I think it was now I've seen it twice and it held me both times. I laughed both times. There were very emotional moments both times. So I'm going to give it 3.5. I think it's on the north side of okay. It's good. And yeah, I think that's it's as good as it is. It's enjoyable too, So it's a solid double,
Yep.
Double.
Ben, what do you got, buddy?
I'm going. I mean, I think it's a solid movie. I'm going 3.5 stars, and I think it's very entertaining. I'm going 4 buckets of popcorn. Nice. I really enjoyed this film. I called it a film. Because it's 3.5 stars.
What a snob.
So not a movie, So, and the 4 bucks of popcorn. Again, I found found it very comedic, but also just an easy watch, and I was never bored throughout it. And I stuffed my face with popcorn through the
only 90 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, your favorite.
Anything under 90 minutes is boring.
That's what when we turned on Eurovision today, and it said 2 hours and 3 minutes. I was like, what the hell is this movie 2 hours? There's no reason for this movie to be 2 hours.
And that's why I turned on American Pickle. I was like, I can watch this in time. It was an hour and 29 minutes. I was like, nice. All right, sweet.
I mean, that's one of the nice. The best. We get great reviews on The Night Watchman all the time, and it's 83 minutes, and people feel like it doesn't feel like it's that short. Like It gets in, tells a story and gets out before an hour and a half, I got to share a story with you guys though, because I was listening, like I said earlier today, I was listening to your Catch Me If You Can episode, and I love that movie. If that were on the table, like I was so jealous that someone else got to sit in and
Sorry,
talk about that one.
She beat you to it. Sorry.
The music, like you said, the opening titles, they have that Hitchcock opening titles.
It did,
I think I read that I saw an interview with John Williams, and he was saying that he was in Henry Mancini's band at one point, so he made all the music kind of themed around Henry Mancini.
Nice.
But she was shitting on Walken pretty heavy.
Yep,
and
she was. Yep.
And so
she was.
I have some friends that worked on Wedding Crashers.
Okay.
Which I auditioned for Wedding Crashers. That was one of my first feature film auditions right after I joined SAG, and I auditioned for the guy that says football and crab cakes. That's what Maryland does. And that gets played at Maryland games every Saturday in the fall. Like, if that could have been me, that would have been just phenomenal. But, so I had a friend that worked on the crew for Wedding Crashers, and the house that once they crash the wedding and then they go back with the family, that's on the Eastern Shore. And that house, like the window, or I guess the dining room, has these French doors that open up onto a lawn that goes straight into the bay, like the Chesapeake Bay. So they said one night the shoot was going long, and I'm going to preface this so that Blockbuster Mentality doesn't get sued by Walken Enterprises. This is a story I was told by someone I trust, but that I was not there. But I trust that it's pretty valid. So in the middle of this long ass shoot that was going into overtime, that dinner scene, Christopher Walken just gets up and he walks around the table and he walks out the door and he walks down the lawn and he walks straight into the bay. And
what just walks
and like, Mr. And my friend is like, I don't want to say what he did so that no one can know, but he was part of the crew and he had a radio. So he said, so I hear on the radio, this thing goes around. It's like,
what's
Mr. Walken's in the bay. And so they send some poor PA down to say, Mr. Walken, we need to put you back into wardrobe. And so this guy says, Walken is like up to his nose in the water, just eyeballs.
Oh my!
He comes out and he goes, "Young man, I am not an actor. I'm an alligator."
You're bullshitting us, right?
I'm not. I swear, this is the story that as it was told to me. And so the guy radios back. Mr. Walken says that he's an alligator, and there's a couple minutes, and then over the radio goes, "Okay, that's a wrap for tonight. Let's go ahead and."
Oh my God, that is holy crap! Yeah, that's
apparently he has gotten to the point in his career where he knows, like, you know what? I don't think this shoot needs to go this long tonight, and I'm going to shut it down because we don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah, I'm just walking into the bay. I'm an alligator. You do a good Christopher Walken, by the way.
Thank you.
It's gorgeous. Oh, unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Also,
my
Dan,
cough.
there is no... Any movie you've got in mind is yours for the taking, just to set that clear. So if you're like, hey, guys, I'm thinking about God knows what, but I'd like to do this one.
I think he said that about Palm Springs, and you took forever to watch it. But, it's all right.
Well, we honored that, though. So, anything you
I just figured it was like the only current movie we're going to get a chance to talk about for a while.
Yeah.
I'm an alligator.
It's true. It's either Palm Springs or Commando. So, what are you going to do?
Oh, I saw all of that in my mind's eye. Hilarious.
Yeah. It's been great having you, Dan.
Thanks. It's been great being here.
All right, folks. Well, that is it for us. For Dave and Dan, I am Ben. And as always, grab some popcorn, grab some snacks. We'll catch you guys
at the movies.